Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are, I want to welcome you to the No Job Podcast. My name is Najee Simmons, your host, and here at the No Job Podcast, we believe that everybody has to earn a living, but nobody has to have a job. We've been over this. A job is just where you go to trade your time and your energy for money, and that's it. That's all you get, to live another day, to pay your rent or your mortgage. But work. And work is what we look for here. Work is using your time and energy in alignment with your passion to build or contribute to something that is important to you. And the road to no job for most of us is going to involve entrepreneurship. Unless you can find a way to get paid doing something you love the way you would want to do it, you're going to have to strike out on your own. And here on this show, we're not afraid to do that. And we're also not afraid to face the hard truth that many people don't want to face when it comes to really figuring out whether they're going to accomplish their dreams, whether they're going to be able to transform their lives and make a living doing something that they want to do, that they feel like they were born and put on this earth to do. In fact, there's one really big question that I don't think people ask themselves enough when they go to embark on this journey, on the path to no job. I didn't ask myself this question on my first endeavor, which was a failed endeavor. And maybe I should have before I took the leap. That question, that single question that if you answer it yes or no, you will know whether you have the ability to succeed at your goal or not, is this: are you willing to play the long game? We're going to dive into exactly what that means. My name is Najee Simmons, and this is the No Job Podcast. So, what exactly is the long game? Simply put, the long game is a mindset. It's a mentality. It's a way of going about things, because anybody can go about accomplishing something at first with all the energy and vigor and passion in the world, but as soon as it doesn't seem to be flourishing overnight, a lot of people lose that energy. A lot of people end up giving up before they even give themselves a chance to start. And I'm real big on that. I'm real big on the fact that you have to give yourself a chance to succeed. And a lot of us give up before we've even done anything yet. I told you this is the 20th episode of this podcast. If I were to give up after having only released 20 episodes, after having made 120 posts, after just 3 paid promotions, if I were to look back on this day years from now, I would honestly have to say, Naj, you didn't really try. So before we even get started, for those of you who feel like giving up, I just want you to ask yourself, did you really try? Because if you project yourself into the future and look back to now and look upon the work that you've done so far, I know it was hard. I know you put in a lot of time and energy and effort doing it. I know you're proud of the work you've done, and that's great, but you're not getting the response you want from people yet. Well, my question is, have you done much? I know you've done a lot. For you, it's a lot. For me, it's a lot. But it doesn't matter what it is for you and for me if we want to be entrepreneurs, if we want to make a living doing this. We don't have to satisfy ourselves. We have to satisfy our markets. And it's going to take some time and energy and effort and some consistency before anybody will trust you as an expert in any field or as a reliable supplier of any product or any service. The problem is you want people to love and trust and support you way sooner than you would love and trust and support yourself if you were on the outside looking in. If you scrolled through your page's social media and saw what's really there and you weren't you would either think, man, this guy, he's not there yet. She's not there yet. Or would you even feel like there was sufficient information to know who this person was or what services they say they offer? What proof have you given the outside world? That means everyone outside of your brain and outside of your heart and outside of your mind. What proof have you given them that they'll get something worthy back if they send you their money? That's the question you need to be asking yourself. And that kind of proof can only be provided over a course of time. A minute ago, I mentioned consistency. You realize consistency is an attribute that can only be demonstrated over a period of time. You cannot demonstrate consistency over no time. Consistency cannot be demonstrated overnight, and neither can character. You cannot show someone who you truly are in one instance. Don't you learn who someone is by living with them? All my married people or people who had a long-time girlfriend or boyfriend. Yeah, you knew a little bit about him or her at the start. But after the commitment grew, after you knew each other, after my wife and I moved in, after we lived together, we really got to know each other on a deeper level. And it's just like that in the marketplace. You're the new kid on the block. I'm the new kid on the block. And how arrogant is it for me to walk up in this place and expect everybody to know who I am and to trust me with their hard-earned money and to listen to my voice just because I'm talking and just because I'm here and just because it takes energy and effort from me. And this is where the long game comes in. This is where we separate the men from the boys, and this is where we separate the girls from the women. This is when we find out who has the mindset that is needed to succeed. Because only people willing to play the long game, only the people willing to stay down, only the people willing to run the marathon, as Nipsey Hussle said, will have the ability to keep going, to keep posting, to keep producing, to keep advertising, to keep trying to sell in the face of failure and in the face of rejection. Only people who are willing to run the marathon, only people who are willing to play the long game will endure long enough to thrive. Endurance comes before thriving. People don't have so you might know that your heart is right. You might know that your heart is in the right place. You might know that you fully intend on delivering on every promise that you make, but the only way the outside world is going to understand that is by interacting with you and seeing you interact with others over time. And when it comes to playing the long game, there's a lot of unglorious stuff. It's a lot of stuff that doesn't feel good or look good. It's a lot of grueling hours for what feels like nothing at the moment. But you're investing at that time. You're investing in those late hours. You're investing in what I like to call a trust fund. And this is my kind of trust fund. It's not the kind that rich kids get from their parents and grandparents. A trust fund is an account, right? The way I view it, made up of every contribution that you've made to the lives and to the mindsets of the people that you want to market to. Every post, every time they see your advertisement, every time they've heard about you doing something good and consistent with your brand in your community, you are contributing to your trust fund, to the market's ability to trust you enough to someday buy from you. And after you've contributed to that trust fund long enough, after people believe in your character and they believe that you will demonstrate consistency and that you will come through for them at the point of their need according to what you advertise that you would do, when they believe that, then you can start to withdraw from the trust fund. But you don't withdraw trust like you put in. You don't withdraw effort which you put in. You withdraw money. You withdraw your dream. You withdraw making a living doing what you love. How long are you willing to wait? Because I'm of the mindset that if you're not willing, if you can't wait 5 years of consistency, 10 years, 15 years of consistency, if you can't wait that long, then you don't want it. You just like the idea of what comes with it. If you can't wait the 5, 10, the 15 years, work the 5, 10, 15 years, then you don't even really want it. Keep it real. Keep it real and go after something that you do want. Find something that you are willing to put in that kind of work for. Because until you feel that way about it, you'll never make the kind of sacrifices that you'll need to make for the length of time that you need to make them. And I just want to update you guys about where I'm going, what I'm doing with my life. You guys know part of my dream is to make a living doing this and other media-based endeavors, media-based projects. Speaking to people like you, I love to encourage, I love to motivate, I love to inform, I love to light a fire in people. And I believe I can make money doing that, even though, as you know, I'm not yet. So I'm always looking for the kind of inspiration that I give you. And I came across a post from a guy named Marty Woodard. You may have seen him all over social media. I follow him on Instagram. And he made a post last week that really got me thinking. Here's what he called it. You'll see it on your screen here. He said, this is the before you quit your job to become an entrepreneur cheat sheet. And this is exactly what I needed back in 2019 when I quit my good job to become an entrepreneur selling life insurance, which at the end of the day, I found out I didn't actually really want to do. I didn't want to play the long game for that. I just wanted what I thought the result was. I wish I had some of the tips that I'm about to read to you now from Marty Woodard. Follow his page, always quality content, great stuff to keep you motivated. So the first step on this cheat sheet of things to do before you quit your job to become an entrepreneur is 1, increase your income. Ask for a raise at your job or find a job that pays more. And he says, this doesn't have to be super emotional. The same companies that you love will cut you in a heartbeat if they run into financial trouble. And we all know that's true. I've experienced that in life. Why am I bringing this up? Because if I find a man or a woman who is willing to work harder at the job that they don't like to get more money, or find another job potentially that isn't their dream and work hard at it to make more money to fund their dreams, I think I'm looking at somebody who's decided to play the long game. Is that you? Is that you? Point number 2, decrease your expenses. Are you willing to make any sacrifices to your current lifestyle? Yes or no? Yes or no? Are you willing to cut Hulu, Netflix, whatever it is you need to cut? Are you willing to stop gambling? Are you willing to give something up that's a lot of fun to you, cut back on your hobbies? Are you willing to downsize your house? Are you willing to get a roommate if you can? Are you willing to stop spending your money on stupidity just to fit in and to impress people that don't really care about you and that you don't really care about, if we're being honest? Don't be overly emotional on this point. The answer is yes or no. If it's no, give up the dream. It's not a dream, it's a fantasy. You'll never accomplish it because you'll never give it the fuel it needs to catch fire. And those 2 points right there, they hit me pretty hard. So my wife and I, we don't overspend. We're pretty cautious and we're pretty regimented with our budget. But I think I have the opportunity to increase my income. In fact, I posted on social media today that I am pursuing learning how to code, learning how to program. Why? Because programming is my dream? No, because I can make like twice as much money as I do right now in my current field by programming. And with that margin I create, I can fund my dreams. But if you don't want to fund your dreams, you don't really want them. And that's just the truth. Step number 3, breathe, then pick a path. At the end of the day, people, you have to make a decision. You're either going to be willing to make a decision or you're not. And you don't know everything that's going to happen. You don't. You can do your research, and I fully encourage you to do your research, but there's no way to truly predict the future. You can only go with what makes sense and what appears to be reasonable. And you know I'm always going to advise you to pray to the Father. Ask God for direction and for guidance. And trust your ways to Him. And let me say this. Don't be trying to accomplish something that you think is apart from the will of God. Because even if you succeed at doing it, you have failed. We're seeking the will of the Father here. We're seeking the will of God. So find something that you think is valuable to Him because of the value it provides to other people. Now, with your extra income that you have from spending less money, you now have the ability to exercise your options and to pursue your dream to play the long game. Look, guys, I took a risk that I shouldn't have taken. I live to see another day. I believe if you're in a situation where you've done that as well, you too will live to see another day. But I think you need to take these points that I've raised from Monty Woodard's post into deep consideration, not so you can be stuck, not so you can be paralyzed, but so that you can be empowered to take proper actions. Are you in it for the long game? That's a question only you can answer. If you are, I'm here to provide motivation, information, and inspiration. My name is Najee Simmons, and this is the No Job Podcast. I like that segment a lot, and it got me excited because I'm really passionate about how possible it really is to make a living doing what you love and accomplish your dreams if you can commit to it, if you're willing to play the long game, if you're willing to run the marathon, if you're willing to make the sacrifices that are necessary. And I know as I'm married, I have a daughter, I have other commitments in life besides my job, and it can be hard. And you think, I don't have the time and the energy to make another commitment. How do I get more energy? How do I make more time? And I think it's not necessarily a matter of making more time or more energy for new commitments, as it is taking the time and energy that you're spending on unworthy commitments and transferring it to what you believe you were born to do, what you believe you were put here to accomplish, to provide the service you believe God wants you to give to people in the world in His name. For example, look at your monthly budget. And some of you have a real problem because you don't have a monthly budget and you don't know how much you spend a month and you don't know where your paychecks go. So fix that. Take a pen and a pad and fix that. Real simple. And after you've done that, I want you to take a look at those items, because you're not just looking at a list of bills, you're looking at a list of commitments. And which of those commitments, because not all of them can be eliminated, but which of those commitments can be eliminated? And with which of those commitments can you free up time, energy, and money to spend on your dream, to spend funding your goal? Because you're very committed to Hulu. You're very committed to Netflix. You're very committed to your favorite snacks. You're very committed to whatever your hobby is. You're very committed to Applebee's and Chili's. You have a real commitment to going out to eat. What if you let go of that commitment in order to grab hold of another commitment, not only in terms of your time, but also in terms of money? If you want to know if you're ready for change, see if you can let go of old commitments to make room for the new, to make room for the activities that must be done to enable you to live out your dream. I want to thank you for listening today and just trusting me to just be a part of guiding you to where you're going, to accomplishing those things that you were made to do, to transforming your life to the image that God has for it. I'm so blessed and so happy to be a part of that. And I love to hear from you guys. I want feedback. Talk to me on social media, write reviews on the podcast apps that you use. Speak to me. You can email me, thenojobpodcast@gmail.com. Let's talk, because as bad as I want to get there, I want you to get there. My name is Najee Simmons, and this is the No Job Podcast. Thanks for watching the video. Please be sure to subscribe if you liked what you heard. Whenever I come out with new videos, you'll of course be notified, and it helps us grow and reach more people. Thanks for listening to the No Job Podcast.